In 2013, the State of Nicaragua approved Law No. 840, granting a concession for the construction of the Grand Interoceanic Canal of Nicaragua. In the process, the state violated the rights of the Rama and Kriol Indigenous People and the Black Creole Indigenous Community of Bluefields to use and enjoy communal property, to self-determination, and to a healthy environment. The state excluded them from the decision-making process and approved a project that would directly affect their traditional lands and territories, without due consultation or consent, as is established under national and international laws. The government announced in 2014 that the route of the Grand Interoceanic Canal would cross the Rama and Creole territory, which is made up of 9 communities located in the southeast of Nicaragua, in both the South Caribbean Coast Autonomous Region and the San Juan River Department. Some of these indigenous communities would be forced to move from their traditional settlements, causing the loss of customs which are closely linked to their territory. Bangkukiktaik is one of the Rama communities that would be directly affected by the megaproject. Its inhabitants are the last speakers of the Rama language in the world, and they live apart from other communities, allowing them to preserve many of their traditional customs. For this reason, the authorities of the Rama Kriol territory requested in 2015 that the state of Nicaragua provide information on the project and to hold a dialogue prior to the consultation process. In response, the government promised not to expropriate their traditional lands and territories or confiscate their natural resources, but it did not carry out a true consultation. In 2016, members of the Territorial Assembly of the Rama and Creole people were pressured to grant a perpetual lease to the Government Commission, in charge of the Grand Interoceanic Canal of Nicaragua, for 263 square kilometers of the Rama Kriol Indigenous Territory. As a result of the approval of Law No. 840, the state halted the titling process that the Black Creole Indigenous Community of Bluefields had initiated in 2006, before the National Demarcation and Titling Commission, CONADETI. The majority of the territory of the Black Creole Indigenous Community of Bluefields is located in the municipality of Bluefields, in the South Caribbean Coast Autonomous Region. It is made up of Afro-Caribbean people and is the largest such territory in Nicaragua. The community's mother tongue is Creole English, and its history is closely linked to indigenous communities. It is unique in its origin, history, and ethnicity, thus enriching the national ethnic and cultural diversity. In that same year, the state of Nicaragua handed over to a parallel government, to the one legitimately elected by the Black Creole Indigenous Community of Bluefields, and imposed for this purpose a property title of less than 7% of the territory claimed by the Black Community Indigenous Creole of Bluefields, thus stripping it of more than 93% of its traditional territory. Because of these actions, community leaders and authorities have filed 19 legal actions against the unconstitutional behavior of state officials since the approval of the Grand Interoceanic Canal concession. All of these legal actions have been rejected by the Nicaraguan judiciary. Faced with the violation of their rights to territory, self-determination, due process, and judicial protection, as well as violations of their right to a healthy environment. In 2014, the authorities of the Rama and Creole Indigenous People and the Black Creole Indigenous Community of Bluefields sought international protection from the Inter-American Commission on Human Rights, which in 2021 presented the case to the Inter-American Court of Human Rights to request that the Nicaraguan state be declared internationally responsible for violations of the rights of indigenous and Afro-descendant peoples. The petitioners then asks the court to declare null and void Law No. 840, which grants the canal concession, resume the interrupted demarcation and titling process for the territory of the Black Creole Indigenous Community of Bluefields, and guarantee due process through its completion, as well as the realization of the process of clearing settlers from indigenous territories. Declare null and void the perpetual lease agreement for the 263 square kilometers of land in the Rama Creole territory, and halt the invasion of settlers and other third parties in the territory. Repair damages to the environment and natural resources in indigenous and Afro-descendant peoples' territories. End the imposition of unelected communal governments, in parallel to the legitimately elected authorities, as a strategy for usurping the community's ancestral and traditional territories. And finally, Stop all criminalization and violations of the psychological integrity of defenders of the indigenous and Afro-descendant communities' rights, including their leaders and authorities.